So, we've got a number 1 deluxe meal. Is there anything else I can get you?
Yeah, I'd also like a good night's sleep.
Excuse me, sir?
You know, the I didn't struggle all night with my uncomfortable CPAP mask, or something like the my wife didn't kick me out to sleep on the couch because of my constant tossing and turning.
Sir, we don't have anything like that here. I think what you're looking for is Inspire. It's an implant that works inside your body to treat sleep apnea without a CPAP. That way you can breathe normally and rest more soundly.
Come on! Oh, he sounds hangry. Inspire is the only FDA-approved sleep apnea treatment of its kind. It's helping tens of thousands of people finally get restful sleep. To learn more, visit InspireSleep.com. That's InspireSleep.com. Inspire, sleep apnea innovation. Inspire is not for everyone. Talk to your doctor to see if it's right for you, and review important safety information at InspireSleep.com.
The Shark Deck.
Steve Harvey is not dead, and I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. Did you see the hashtag that was trending, RIP Harvey? Comedian Steve Harvey reacted to it. He tweeted an image of himself holding a phone while scrolling through social media posts and captioned it, "Me seeing that RIP Harvey is trending." His followers said the caption was the best response to a hoax they'd ever seen. 2 big articles in Variety. The first, Zorna Garg, Leanne Morgan, Brian Simpson among Variety's 10 comics to watch for 2023. All right, let's see who the 10 comics to watch are. This is always a great list. Some of the past names, Tiffany Haddish, Kumail Nanjiani, Patton Oswalt, Taylor Tomlinson, and Quinta Brunson. You've heard of them, right? This year, Hannah Berner, a nationally ranked junior tennis player. Berner switched her attention to entertainment. She exudes an affable yet direct style, and the comedian thrives on stage discussing her womanhood. She says, "It's almost therapeutic for me to let girls know I'm not perfect. I love the tension of having men in the room. They need to hear some of these things to normalize and actually become educated." While she's trying to offer commentary, she's determined that each punchline lands for the entire crowd. "I'm speaking for the girls, but I also want everyone to be in on the joke." Variety writes, with her work, Berner creates a female locker room where people can hear things and feel less alone. Anyone's welcome in the locker room. Next up, Curtis Connor, a Toronto-based performer, podcaster, and YouTube sensation. I'm not familiar with Curtis. Curtis found an audience on Vine, later migrated to YouTube. He's amassed over 4.3 million subscribers and more than 700 million total views. Curtis says, "Humor is born out of people and in the ways we interact with each other and process the minute details in our relationships. That's the stuff that has always made me laugh. The human experience is hilarious." He hosts the podcast Very Really Good. Influences, Bo Burnham, John Mulaney, Stephen Wright, Mitch Hedberg. Zorna Garg says, "I remember being told my whole life that I was really funny, and I used to dread it because I was thinking my parents didn't get the scientist, they didn't get the mathematician, they didn't get the doctor. What are you supposed to do with that?" Variety says Garg has taken her refreshingly observational, family-friendly style and spun it into a popular TikTok account. I see a theme here. Her 1 in a Billion special is on Amazon Prime. Influences, Veer Das, Aditi Mittal, Russell Peters, Hassan Minhaj. Next up, Ian Lara, a first-generation Dominican-American emerging as one of New York City's hottest stand-up comedians with material touching on themes of growing up with immigrant parents, being unsure about his race, and his relationship with his born-again Christian father. He said, "I've been doing stand-up for 12 years. You have to do work to become good at it, but you also need to draw from your life experiences because that's what audiences relate to most." Influences, Kevin Hart, Richard Pryor, Dave Chappelle, Chris Rock. Not bad. Next up, Joanne McNally. The Dublin native says, "I want to be buried in a theater. I love the feel of them. I love the box office. I love everything." She found touring and performing to be a vital source of motivation as she pivoted to comedy and sought recovery for her eating disorder. She said for a while it was bulimia, and now it's stand-up. "It was something that basically gave me a reason to recover. Before I got to stand-up, I knew I had to recover because it's not conducive to a happy life. I did see recovery as failure, really. I didn't see the point of getting better. I thought I'd just hate my body and always be really sad. Then comedy gave me a really healthy, productive sense of purpose." She had a podcast, My Therapist Ghosted Me. Influences Bill Burr, Ali Wong, Michelle Wolf, Tommy Tiernan. Next up, Leanne Morgan, who's having a great year. The article tells her journey of selling jewelry door to door. I've told you that story a few times on the podcast. Her influences, Jay Leno, David Letterman, Johnny Carson, Dave Chappelle, Joan Rivers. Nimesh Patel, been talking about him a lot lately. He said, if there's something I feel is taboo, I'm always tempted by that third rail. I'm usually on the right side of history, or at least on the right side of the joke. I became a comedian more from circumstance than chasing dreams. I graduated from NYU in 2008 with a degree in finance, which is about the funniest thing you could do at the time. When I was unemployed, I was seeking an outlet for some subconscious existential dread I was experiencing. It's not an easy sentence to say. I saved you the 3 edits. I like making people laugh, and I'm good at writing and making people laugh. His influences: Russell Peters, Chris Rock, Patrice O'Neal, Mitch Hedberg. Sarah Sherman. Well, yeah, we know Sarah Sherman. She's on Saturday Night Live. By her own admission, her stand-up act could be vulgar and descriptive. Her influences: The Nanny, Larry David, Pee-wee's Playhouse, and Ren and Stimpy. That's great. Brian Simpson next up. He's having a good year. Brian says, over time, I've been able to get more concise with less fear of silence, and I've probably gotten better at getting deeper into things. There are things that I couldn't make work 10 years ago, but I kept them in my notebook, and now they're some of my best jokes. Simpson grew up in foster care and served in the Marine Corps, both of which help inform his comedic perspective and made him good at reading people and situations. His influences: George Carlin, Red Fox, Eddie Murphy, Tom Segura, Whoopi Goldberg. Sabrina Wu says, I think something that makes a good stand-up and a good actor is updating your performance, really living in the moment of it, never reading the same lines the same way. Feel the crowd, feel the space. Sabrina adds, yes, I'm non-binary and my life is absolutely perfect. I'm a hero to all, and I live comfortably in that truth. Their influences: Tig Notaro, Ali Wong, Mike Birbiglia, Nick Nemiroff, the fantastic Canadian comedian that passed away last year. Is that 10? Wow, that went quick. I went back and checked. That's 10. The other big article is Natasha Lyonne, Hassan Minhaj, Gene Smart among honorees in Variety's 2023 Compact Comedy Impact Report. Let's skim this one because this has a lot of industry suit types, and you and I are less interested in that. The premise of Variety's article: from stage to screen to behind the scenes, here's a look at the most impactful comedic voices over the past year. On the list: Abbott Elementary, talent agent Kara Alpert, The Bear, Danielle Brooks, you know her from Peacemaker, Max Burgos, who's the co-head of comedy touring for IGA, Gerard Carmichael. Oh yeah, Nathaniel. People still buzzing about that one. Michael Cox is the booker for The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. Jim Donnelly is the executive VP for comedy development for Universal. Again, all the suit stuff doesn't interest me as much. Jillian Doyle works in the music and comedy touring department at CAA. Nathan Fielder, creator of The Rehearsal. Hannah Gatsby, you know about Hannah. Amy Gravitt is an executive VP at HBO Programming. Bill Hader, you've heard of him. Kevin Hart and Ty Randolph. Ty Randolph is the CEO of Kevin Hart's Heartbeat. You know who Kevin Hart is. Ryan Johnson, you know him from Star Wars movies and Glass Onion and Poker Face. Kathleen Lewis is an agent. Natasha Lyonne, we know her from Poker Face. Mark Maron, hope you've heard of Mark Maron if you're this far into this podcast. James Marsden, who had a good year on Jury Duty. Comedian Mae Martin. Hassan Minhaj. The Program Mo, and crediting Mo Amer and Rami Youssef. John Mulaney. Atsuko Akatsuka, you've heard me go on and on about her. Trevor Noah. It's a long list. Tracy Pacosta, who's the VP of Comedy Series for Netflix. Robbie Pra, VP Stand-Up and Comedy Formats for Netflix. Dwayne Perkins, actor on The Blackening. Billy Rosenberg, Senior VP, Head of Comedy in Hulu. Jason Segel, the actor, and Brett Goldstein and Bill Lawrence, the co-creators of Shrinking. You thought I was going to say some other show. Jean Smart, we know her from Hacks. Sudeikis, Brendan Hunt, Joe Kelly, Bill Lawrence for Ted Lasso. This is a long list. Come on, guys. Aaron Werenberg, we're up to the W's. Hopefully we're almost done. Senior VP Network Comedy, ABC Entertainment. Roy Wood Jr., and that's the end of the list. Boy, that was long. All right, let's do something more fun. More from Rolling Stone's interview with Tom Segura. The conspiracy theory about Garth Brooks. Rolling Stone says, it's particularly wild given his Chris Gaines sex addict alter ego. Segura said, it's so creepy, and there are so many people who have no idea about that. And when you show it to them, they think it's Photoshop. They're like, what the F is that? And you're like, no, this is real. Did you hear he announced he's going to do 5 more Chris Gaines albums? 5. That means he's going to be doing Chris Gaines when he's 70. It's crazy, dude. Segura said the whole thing with Garth Brooks started from a legit place. His announcement that he was joining Facebook is and will forever be one of the most bizarre, cringy, creepiest videos I've ever seen. He's in his hotel room, and he's like, well, I guess it's official. I'm on Facebook now. I didn't think it was going to be like this. And you're like, what? And then he's like, I don't know what this is going to be like. And then I talked to one of my people and they were like, think of this as a conversation. And then he takes his voice down a register and he goes, I like that. It's wiping out the walls between you and me. And then he takes it down again and goes, I really like that. There are famous people, but he is out of the stratosphere famous. And I know he puts on great shows. When you get to that level of fame, I'm convinced you have an inability to see the world objectively and interact with people because people don't interact with you normally. I can't imagine what Garth's real life is like, but it's got to be weird as stuff. Segura says, I don't want to sell out who told me, but there's 100% confirmation that he is extremely well aware of what's going on. He knows who I am, and he hates my guts. My friend said that when people bring me up to him, he pulls the video of me breaking my arm, and he goes, karma. New topic during Bert Kresicher's show at the Gorge Amphitheater on Saturday. There was a medical emergency shortly before 10 o'clock. Stavros Halkias was on stage. He was interrupted by crew to be informed that he needed to stop. EMTs and paramedics made their way through the crowd near the front of the stage where a person was experiencing a medical episode. Comedian and show MC Cypher Sounds told the crowd to make some way to let the responders do their thing. The patient was placed onto a gurney and was carted off to safety.
Hi, I'm Mark Francis and host of a new podcast, The Messi Effect. Join us as we take you into the exciting new world of Argentine soccer phenomenon, Lionel Messi, and his new life at Inter Miami. We'll bring you into the glitz, the glamour, the star-studded events, along with the exciting journey to a new world of U.S. soccer and international football with news and stories 3 times a week. Come along for the ride as Messi, Miami, and Major League Soccer experience the journey of a lifetime. Get the Messi Effect wherever you get your podcasts.
I'm Erica, 1/3 of the podcast Books and Betches, a comedy book podcast where we swear, spoil, and we talk about...
Whoa, you cannot say that in this.
What do you mean? That's our slogan. It's our gimmick.
How about we just give some examples of things we talk about?
Well, there's a lot of chaos.
I'm Kristen, and with me I have...
Whopper!
No.
A lot of sidebar conversations.
Are you denying the existence of chupacabras?
You know, Erica, yes, I am.
You can listen to new episodes of the Books and Betches podcast every Tuesday morning, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Just for Laughs Montreal announced a new show hosted by Mark Normand. It is the Improv's 60th anniversary show. Enjoy nonstop comedy from a stellar lineup of performers, all while supporting a great cause. Comedy gives back. That one's coming up next week. Tonight at the festival, 7 o'clock Britannic. I'll tell you about that one tomorrow. Just for the Culture at 7 o'clock. The Lucas Brothers at 7 o'clock. The Nasty Show at 9:30. Ursula Carlson at 10 o'clock and Midnight Surprise at midnight. All right, if we were playing the What Would We Do at Montreal tonight, let's see, I'd probably just go see Just for the Culture for the guest I'm going to tell you about in a second. I'd do that at 7, and I'd stick around and do the Nasty Show at 9:30, and I would do Midnight Surprise at 12. On the Just for the Culture show, it's hosted by Alonzo Bowden. You heard from him on this podcast. Zorna Garg is one of the performers. We just learned Zorna's a comedian to watch. Also on the bill, Joelle Nicole Johnson, Judy Gold, Arthur Simeon, Mark Ellisall, and my next guest, Gianmarco Soresi.
I love new faces. It's like my favorite thing to go up for. You know, my whole thing is at the top of mind. You know, I don't go there to see Chris Rock because I've seen Chris Rock, luckily, and I can watch Chris Rock on Netflix. So I like to see who's out there. Was at New Faces last year. You crushed. And so let me just start with your slot. I'm doing it from memory. I think you went 8th or 9th in the second groups.
I would last. So I had those 9th or 10th. Yeah, but I was last.
So is that a tough draw? Because if you're me, you know, I've been there for 3 hours. I did both shows. So you're the 20th person I've seen. Is that bad draw?
Sure.
I mean, it worked.
Yes. Look, it works at the end of the day. If it had gone badly, I would have blamed the spot for sure. But Pete Holmes was hosting, and I was part of the second group, the second show, and he kind of pulled us aside and he said, "Hey, just so you guys know, the second show is always even better. First show's good. Second show's just even better. The audience, they have drinks, having a good time." So then he goes out, we hear the first show, it sounds great. He goes out to start the second show. He comes back and he goes, "Oh, they are tired. They are really tired." I think a lot of them the first show too. And we were like, "Oh my God." And so we could tell because we have ears that the second audience was a little bit tired, a little bit more low-key. And I honestly think I was able to let go of whatever anxiety I was feeling. And I went, well, you know what? look at that. I came all the way to Montreal and the audience is tired and this is the big set. Screw it. And I think like that energy is why that went so well. So it worked out for me. It helped me be chill and go screw it. And I felt really good about that chance.
Was that your planned material for the night, or did you ad lib last second?
No. I try to be brave, but I'm not that brave. That was prepared. I was prepared and rehearsed.
So I'd like to know about the process. I'm going to deliberately start with a question that I could just Google, but for the listeners, how long have you been a comedian, Mr. Newface?
I would say like 8 years. I think there's always with comedians, there's always like, I was an actor first. I took a stand-up comedy class, but I wasn't really a comedian. I would do 1 or 2 shows a year, and they were easy bringer shows where the comedians brought the audience, and they were very favorable. But after failing at acting for a number of years at 26, I pivoted into stand-up comedy.
So you're a new face 8 years in. What's the process? How do you get selected? Does your agent get it? Does Just for Laughs just know you're out there?
No, my agent, because I had an agent, so there's unrepped and there's repped.
Mm-hmm.
And my agent got me an audition for repped. It was actually my first audition. I was surprised. I wanted to get it the years before, but I just didn't get a slot. So I had a new manager at the time. And they got me a slot. I auditioned. I think 3 weeks later, maybe I had a callback. And, I did most of them that I ended up doing at JFL. And then they give it to you. And then they don't announce it until like 3 days before the festival.
Yeah.
And, it was really exciting. And to come back this year, I was told, I said, hey, they don't someone the year after New Face's debut. But I was like, okay, but I would love to be back. I would love more time in Montreal. So it ended up working out real nice.
That's awesome. What's the environment there? Is it competitive or is it camaraderie? We're all in the same boat. Like, you don't like win the night, but it's probably nice to be the shining star.
Sure. I think, especially New Faces, everyone is we're all very happy to be there. There's a thing you're telling yourself to calm down your anxiety about the actual set. You go, you know what? Even if I bow, people will back home. They'll be like, it was a new face. And you get to use that credit for the next 5 years before it becomes sad. When they start seeing the wrinkles and you're still going, the host saying, this guy was a new face. That's what it's depressing. But we're all very happy to be there. Of course, there's competition. But the nice thing about stand-up and the painful thing is you can't really affect each other. You go out there and the audience is determining how everyone's going to do. So you don't have to be like mean about it. No, it was mean. I think Pete really, who hosted New Faces many years in a row, was really like gave us a pep talk, a real, as close as I'm ever going to get to a locker room pep talk from a coach was Pete Holmes with one of his big leggy legs on the couch telling us that it's going to be okay.
That's awesome. I've been fortunate enough to spend time with Pete, and he's exactly who you would hope that he is based on his persona. It's not like there's stage Pete and then a different guy backstage. I was talking to Alonzo yesterday about, I felt like Pete was throwing, and Alonzo explained to me why. I felt like Pete, if I use a sports analogy, was throwing like 70, 80 miles an hour and didn't go to his top. And Alonzo was explaining, as the host, he doesn't want to go out and crush and then have somebody who's earlier on the food chain come out and have to match, an A-lister at his top.
Yeah, I think that's very nice. I think there's plenty of comedians that would not be able to resist the urge to crush. But no, I think he knew. I think he was very cognizant of like making that show good for everybody. He sat at the side of the stage and watched everyone set and laughed. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. But he did that, and he never, you bring up all these comedians, you could give them a weird intro, you could say something that's just a little off, and the audience is confused. But he set it up. He set it up clean. He's a pro. So hopefully, if I ever host something like that, I can resist the urge. Or if I do badly, be like, well, I was trying to do badly to keep the things nice for everyone else. It's a good excuse too.
That's hilarious. All right, so you crush, you walk off. Are you the sexy object, everybody trying to sign you up for stuff, or it's another day in the neighborhood?
I got to meet a lot of people. A lot of people, they want to hear the TV show. And you're like, oh, I want to talk about the stand-up. That's what I'm focused on. But yeah, you end up taking a lot of meetings. It's kind of overwhelming how many people in the comedy industry show up for JFL. I think as I was walking around the fifth party of the night, I was like, oh, how did I even participate in this business without being here? And it's just one of those central events where so many people, are there. And I met bookers, I met agents, I met managers, but I was most excited to meet comedy club bookers because at the time I was like, just get me on the road. And certainly did that.
And that environment seems a little cooler than I was talking about when you're out in LA. As I'm talking to you, instead of making eye contact with you, I'm looking over you to see who's a bigger star that maybe I could. I'm already having my next conversation. Oh, there's Pete Holmes. Thanks. Let me go. Montreal, everybody seems a little more chill.
Yeah, I think there was a time. I mean, everything's also become more chill. Listen, you could do great at JFL. It's not going to give you more success than having 5 million TikTok followers. There used to be a day, I think, where someone could be like, you're going to be a movie star. Steven Seagal became a movie star because he was a famous agent's Tai Chi instructor. There's no one has that power anymore. And I think because of that, we get to be a little more human. We don't have to be terrified. I still think there's a couple people that if they walked in the room, I'd be like, so good to talk to you, Booker of Dallas Comedy Club. Ari Emanuel's over there. I'm going to go say hi. But for the most part, I think JFL, my girlfriend's in the industry side. And, I think it's a nice opportunity for all those guys to get a couple drinks and have a good time.
Yeah.
And, that makes it fun for everybody.
So, in preparation for having you or any guest on, I jump on the Google machine to see if there's the latest article, whatever. And I was just laughing at the descriptions attached to you. Observational comedian. Okay, fair. You're not a prop comic.
Sure.
Sometimes you're a Jewish comedian. Sometimes you're Jewish Italian comedian. Sometimes you're Italian comedian, which brings us to Just for the Culture. And I also was laughing with Alonzo yesterday. And they always put parentheses, formerly the Ethnic Show. And I get why you don't want it to be the Ethnic Show anymore. They always put it, the reminder, formerly the Ethnic Show. So what team are you playing for? Does it matter? Are you going up and going, I'm the Italian guy tonight?
I'm playing for it. Call it the Ethnic Show again. I'm going to be complaining about that for the whole set. I'm going to say, what happened in this cancel culture? That's it. So that's my team. Listen, dad's Italian, mom's Jewish. But my girlfriend is super Jewish. She grew up Chabad, which is a branch of Hasidism. So I'm being pulled in that direction. I got a lot of Jewish material. It's really girlfriend material, but I disguised it as Jewish material. And you could expect a lot of Jewish jokes. A lot of, I'm very interested in, Jewish, the way people view the Jews right now. You got people saying we run Hollywood, we run the guys. You got some people saying we're in all this power, but then other people who don't like us at all. It's a very rich comedic identity. And I wasn't raised very Jewish, but modern society has imposed the fact that I am a Jew, into my life. And I want to explore. That's where I get my comedic juices flowing. And I'm very excited to bring that and then a little Italian. But the Italian comes mostly through my gesturing. I think that's where my Italian side really comes to shine.
And as I scroll down to page 2 of Google, the Texas newspapers, it was like 3 in a row, Jeff Goldblum impressionist. That is the other thing that we're apparently tagging you with. You're just, that's the Jeff Goldblum guy.
I swear to God, I did it in a movie. Bill and Crystal did a movie called Here Today, and I played like an SNL cast member type guy in it. And in the movie, I did the impression. And I said, you know what? I'm going to retire this impression. I used to do cameos as Jeff Goldblum. And then I was like, no, you don't want to be the Jeff Goldblum guy. And no matter where I go, though, that's the people put that in the bio. And then they ask, and I go, okay. And then I move on. I move on with my life. But, if someone buys a piece of merch from me and asks for I'll give it to them.
Nice. You mentioned you're a theater kid. My daughter just graduated Northwestern as a theater kid, and
Congratulations. Very good college. Very good college.
Very nice. I'm mad at her. I just saw they announced a new Chicago Comedy Festival. I sent her a text an hour ago. Why aren't you still in Chicago? Because I could have crashed at her place. I was on her for the whole 4 years, and she didn't want to hear anymore. I kept going, second city, second city, second city, second city. Why? I'm like, because you're the pretty girl who can sing and you're fun. You're like gold. So I'd love to know more about your musical theater experience.
First, that's so sweet to have a parent that involved. I can't even imagine. I don't even know if my parents knew what I went to college for. So that's very sweet that you are that involved. I mean, I wanted to be a musical theater kid. I believed in the system back then. I thought I would go to college. From college, I get an agent. I'd start working steadily. I think I didn't have the chops to be a real professional singer. And that's hard to realize until you move somewhere like New York. And I remember auditioning to be a non-union member of Phantom of the Opera on Broadway. And we waited for 3 or 4 hours to sing 16 bars in a room in a crappy rehearsal space. And and the walls are paper thin. So I had to listen to everyone's audition. And by the time it got up to me, I said, you know what? There is 0 chance I am getting this. And I decided to leave. Because I knew but you don't know that when you're younger. You think maybe I'll be a great singer. And I think colleges here are pretty scammy. I don't think they could give you your money's worth, but they don't. They don't prepare you for the world. And it's hard to predict the world. Going to TikTok would determine who gets cast as leads in movies right now. I mean, that's a new world. But I pursued singing. I pursued acting. I had a little bit of success here and there, but it didn't really feel like it clicked until I wrote a straight play for myself where I talked to the audience a lot. And I had a friend who was like, you should do that part. And I always dreamed about stand up. And I ended up getting into this very horrible comedy club called LOL, which I swore I'd never work again. And then I found myself there last night. The mic did not work, of course. And, but it was doing every check spot there for like 1.5 years that I fell in love. And I said, you know what? This is what I like. I like to be able to perform. I don't like to be fully scripted. I like to be in the moment. I like to make decisions myself. And I like that constant feedback to let me know how I'm doing beat by beat.
So you're like one of these guys that's going to have the big Netflix special, and then Lauren's going to take a liking to you, and you're going to go on SNL and destroy because you can do the other things.
I mean, look, I hope so, because I'm in debt. So let's hope that plan goes exactly as you said. That is plan A, B, and C.
All right, I'll call Lauren after this. What young guys are out there that might be off my radar as I sit here in the basement, not attending Montreal? Who are you into?
I mean, people that I would consider like in my class, Jeffrey Asmus, who's going to be doing the Dirty Show at JFL, is one of my favorite comedians to watch. He's an amazing writer. Jay Jordan, good buddy of mine. He's doing JFL Toronto. He's fantastic. You know, he's not a young guy, but Jesselnick will always be my favorite personally. This is my girlfriend's client, full disclosure, but Tina Fribble, very good comedian, just had a Comedy Central set. Tina Fribble is fantastic. I would check her out.
Good plug and very smart.
Is that good, honey? Is that enough for you? I need to do 3 more clients. Okay, she's good.
Gianmarco also headlines Cafe Cleopatra on July 25th. Gianmarco is awesome. Love that guy. I saw him at New Faces last year. He crushed it, and I really enjoyed speaking with him. He'll do his own headlining show at Cafe Cleopatra on July 25th. And another one at the, I always dumb it down, Place des Arts. There's probably a French way to say that, but that's on July 28th. Gianmarco Soresi, one of last year's New Faces, and on my list, a comedian to watch. And that is your comedy news for today. Follow the show for free on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your shows. And hey, support the Shark Deck Network. Why don't you subscribe to The Messy Effect? Messi's big debut against Miami tomorrow night. We are looking forward to that here in the basement. See you tomorrow.
Hi, I'm Mark Francis and host of a new podcast, The Messy Effect. Join us as we take you into the exciting new world of Argentine soccer phenomenon, Lionel Messi, and his new life at Inter Miami. We'll bring you into the glitz, the glamour, the star-studded events, along with the exciting journey to a new world of U.S. soccer and international football with news and stories 3 times a week. Come along for the ride as Messi, Miami, and Major League Soccer experience the journey of a lifetime. Get The Messy Effect wherever you get your podcasts.